that this is the end of the Diddy story as we know it.
So I don't give them no energy. I give haters no energy. Steve ain't this. He think he this. You don't even know.
Alongside him are some of the biggest names in the entertainment industry, but one person in particular has left everyone in shock. Yes, that is the same Steve Harvey that we all know from family-friendly television programs like Family Feud and his lengthy career as a comedian and talk show host. He has established a reputation in the entertainment industry as a clean, respectable, almost fatherly figure, but it appears that there may be a much darker side to that polished persona.
Clearly, there is a criminal investigation underway, and that they believe that there would be evidence of crimes in one or both of these homes.
When Diddy was detained in Manhattan by federal officials on allegations that sounded like they were taken directly from a crime, the shocking news came like a ton of bricks. Exciting plot exploitation, racketeering, and more.
Stacey Schneider. And Stacey, you say today's indictment reads like a mob indictment. What was most shocking to you of all these allegations?
Yeah, the fact, Jake, that the government in this indictment presented evidence alleging that Sean Combs was running a criminal enterprise.
Diddy's business was booming. Empire has been a part of music, fashion, television, and nightlife for decades, but as more information came to light, the arrest completely destroyed the reputation of the music mogul that everyone believed they knew. As rumors began to circulate, many individuals started to question how many more people might be implicated in this disaster. Then, like wildfire, the rumor spread online. It is unlikely that it was a coincidence that beloved comedian and host Steve Harvey left the nation on the same day Diddy was arrested.
Clients describe NBC as hell, as the worst conditions they've been.
It is no secret that Steve Harvey has attended many of Diddy's famous parties over the years, those lavish events that seem to be the ultimate sign of success in the entertainment industry. However, as we now know, those parties weren't just about the glitz and glamour. There were much darker things happening behind the scenes, and Steve's connection to them is raising some serious eyebrows. The fact that Steve Harvey left the country as soon as Diddy was put behind bars has sparked an avalanche of speculation. Could it be that Steve knew the walls were closing in on him too?
Housing unit is a 24-hour lockdown unit, which means that any movement within that unit is controlled and coordinated, and no inmate moves outside of his cell without being in full restraints, to include leg irons, handcuffs, a belly chain, and at least 2, if not 3 staff members escorting them.
Let's rewind a bit and talk about the legendary parties Diddy used to throw to the outside world. They seemed like the place to be, celebrities from music, movies, sports, and politics all rubbing shoulders, while Diddy solidified his reputation as the ultimate host. But as time went on, rumors began to surface about what really happened at those gatherings. Whispers of questionable activities grew louder, suggesting these weren't just harmless social events. Now, with recent allegations and arrests, it's becoming clear that Diddy's parties may have been much more than they appeared. According to those coming forward, these events were allegedly a breeding ground for all sorts of illegal activities, and it's not just Diddy under scrutiny. Every high-profile guest who attended, including Steve Harvey, is now facing suspicion.
Replete with very, very serious and salacious allegations, including allegations that Combs had cameras throughout his home.
Here's where things get really interesting. Sources close to the investigation are implying that the FBI has witnesses who claim to have seen Steve engaging in some pretty and savory stuff. These aren't just people making unfounded accusations. They are people who allegedly attended the same parties and saw Steve getting involved in things that are not only embarrassing but possibly illegal. It has been said that Steve wasn't just a casual guest at these parties. Rumors have it that he was a regular fixture at some of the wildest nights in Diddy's circle.
Diddy was running some kind of Epstein-type deal where he was filming everybody, right?
That's the rumors, yeah. I don't know that there's any proof or anything other than that.
For years, Steve Harvey has positioned himself as the ideal family man, a loving husband and father, and someone who could counsel millions of people on how to live a decent life. His best-selling book Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man solidified his position as a voice of reason in the frequently chaotic world of relationships. But what if it was all a front? What if Steve Harvey was leading a double life behind the scenes, attending events that were anything but wholesome?
Wholesome.
All right, I gotta take some time to address this.
Naturally, Steve's charm, wit, and larger-than-life personality have helped him build an empire. He has appeared on numerous TV shows, including talk shows and game shows, and is widely admired for his straightforward outlook on life. However, this new information could completely change everything. The possibility that Dave was involved in, or at least witnessed, the extremely troubling activities that are allegedly taking place at Diddy's parties is nearly too much for people to comprehend. Could the man who has been giving us life advice for decades be concealing something so sinister?
Evidence that's been gathered in this case was from those 2 raids that were conducted on his personal homes in Miami and Los Angeles, and the indictment names the things seized that he allegedly made videos of these sexual performances that have been named freak off.
People are wondering why Steve fled the country when Diddy was being arrested because he had nothing to hide. It's one thing to take an impromptu vacation, but most people wouldn't leave the U.S. the moment a close associate is implicated in a major scandal unless they had a very good reason, which for Steve might be fear that the authorities are pursuing him next.
So what is next? Is he going to be in jail in this facility until the trial begins? Is there a chance he could, get moved earlier than that? As of this moment, as of this hour, as of today, yes. But of course, as I mentioned earlier, they're going to be appealing this thing next to the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals to overturn the judge's order here to try and get him actually released.
Even more concerning is the fact that there are rumors, purportedly from reliable sources close to the investigation, that Steve wasn't merely a passive bystander. The FBI has been gathering evidence for years, and they have spoken with numerous witnesses who allege Steve actively took part in some of the most shocking and unlawful activities that occurred at these events, discussing topics that, if confirmed, could seriously harm his career and result in severe legal repercussions.
Why doesn't the government want to turn himself in? Because then they can't ask for detention. So they go and they arrest him. They arrest a guy who came to New York to turn himself in.
The government can't request detention if he doesn't want to turn himself in, so they go ahead and arrest him. The man who traveled to New York to turn himself in for the time being is arrested. Steve has kept quiet about all of this, he hasn't made any public statements, and his lawyer has been eerily silent. However, you can bet that his legal team is working extra hard behind the scenes to figure out how to handle the situation. The fact that Steve left the country indicates that he is aware that there is a genuine chance that he could be involved in this scandal. After all, if he really had nothing to worry about, why wouldn't he just stay put and defend himself?
You all saw it posted yesterday all over our social media pages. Cassie filed a lawsuit in New York City against Diddy. Yikes. She's claiming she was stuck in a decade-long cycle of abuse.
Steve is the last person anyone would expect to be involved in something like this, but the more we learn about what allegedly happened at D's parties, the more it seems like anyone who frequently attended could be involved. This is made even more shocking by the stark contrast between his spotless public image and the accusations currently circling him.
Controlled every aspect of her life. He is accused of frequently beating her and would hide her in hotel rooms for days until the bruising and signs of abuse were gone.
Furthermore, the fact that Steve and Diddy have a strong friendship only serves to stoke the flames. Over the years, the two have been spotted together at several events, and there has been no lack of public admiration for them. Even though Steve has commended Diddy's entrepreneurial spirit and called him an inspiration, their relationship is suddenly appearing much more dubious now that he is behind bars and facing serious accusations.
And in this lawsuit, he claims that essentially P. Diddy was the Epstein of the...
The real question on everyone's mind is this: what does Steve have to hide? Is it possible that he was merely a guest at these parties, unaware of what was really going on, or as the rumors suggest, was he a willing participant in the activities that have now led to Diddy's downfall? The truth remains uncertain, but as more details emerge, it's becoming harder to give Steve the benefit of the doubt. The fact that the FBI has reportedly been investigating Diddy's network for years suggests they're not just looking at him, they're scrutinizing everyone closely associated with him and with Steve's long-standing friendship and numerous public appearances alongside Diddy. He's undeniably in the spotlight. If these rumors turn out to be true, Steve could be facing far more than just a PR crisis, could be staring down criminal charges that threaten to dismantle everything he's built over the past few decades.
I remember, I don't know if you know what his voice sounds like, but I felt like I was in the presence of his monster.
One thing is certain: as the investigation proceeds, Whether Steve Harvey is guilty of any wrongdoing or not, the truth about his role in this scandal will eventually surface. His reputation will suffer since his name is being linked to such grave accusations, and the longer he remains silent, the more people will start to question what he is actually concealing.
The issue is, it seems as though he wants to kind of like exert power and dominance over people who don't really want.
With Steve Harvey's name swirling in the rumors and suspicions, it's clear this isn't just a one-off scandal centered around Diddy. In reality, it's part of a much larger web of high-profile figures now scrambling to distance themselves from what is shaping up to be one of the most shocking falls from grace in celebrity history. The moment Diddy's arrest hit the headlines, it was like a signal went off. Suddenly everyone in his inner circle started making moves. People are fleeing left and right, desperate to avoid being caught in what seems like an inevitable legal storm. Steve Harvey may be one of the most talked about names, but he's far from alone. Rumors suggest that several other celebrities who were regulars at Diddy's infamous parties have also gone into hiding, hoping to escape the fallout before it's too late.
Stand-up comedian, entertainer, television host, family man. But most importantly, I happen to be a man of...
We're talking about some of the most famous faces in Hollywood, music and sports. These aren't just Diddy's business partners or distant acquaintances. They're people who were allegedly deep in the mix, indulging in the wild lifestyle he was known for. Now, as investigators dig deeper into the allegations against Diddy, these same celebrities are doing everything they can to avoid becoming the next headline. The FBI is reportedly combing through mountains of evidence, everything from phone records to witness statements, and according to insiders, things aren't looking good for those in Diddy's circle. Some of the names surfacing include individuals once thought to be squeaky clean, much like Steve Harvey, but the reality is just like Steve. These celebrities were frequent guests at Diddy's exclusive events, and according to the allegations, they weren't just there for the champagne and small talk. Sources claim that many were deeply involved in the shady dealings that took place behind closed doors.
You know, I think in federal court and for these charges, they would say it's routine, but in the public realm, this is very significant, just from who we18associate Diddy being and everything we've seen him do over the decades. Like you said, this is quite the downfall to go from, I mean, we saw the mansions back in March that were raided by the feds. So to go from living in those mansions to be...
You may be wondering who else might be involved in all of this. And one name that keeps coming up is Cuba Gooding Jr. It's no secret that he has been involved in a number of scandals over the years, but his relationship with Diddy is currently being examined much more closely. According to Jones' lawsuit, Cuba was not an innocent bystander when he was allegedly introduced to one of Diddy's insiders, Rodney Lil Rod Jones, at one of these infamous gatherings. Jones asserts that Cuba not only attended these events but also engaged in improper behavior, a charge that might land him in hot water legally. Jeopardy.
Well, if he really was filming everybody, I mean, he had a lot of people at those parties, right?
And it doesn't stop there. Another surprising name being thrown into the mix is Prince Harry. Now, before jumping to conclusions, let's be clear, there's no suggestion that Prince Harry was directly involved in any wrongdoing. However, his name has surfaced as someone who had attended some of Diddy's events. Remember, Diddy's influence extended far beyond the entertainment industry, mingled with royalty, politicians, and global elites. Prince Harry's brief connection to Diddy reportedly stems from a charity event they both attended years ago, but the fact that his name is even being mentioned in this context has people raising eyebrows. It just goes to show how far-reaching this scandal could potentially become. Then there's Young Miami, the rapper and one of Diddy's former flames. She's been vocal about her relationship with him in the past, but now her name is coming up in an entirely different light. According to rumors, Young Miami may have been involved in transporting certain items across state lines for Diddy, items that are now the focus of an intense investigation. Whether these allegations hold any weight remains to be seen, but one thing is certain: anyone with a close connection to Diddy is now under scrutiny, and with each passing day more and more names are being dragged into the fire.
Government is going to mandate that they are responsible for your well-being. They have to ensure the safety of your well-being.
The real tragedy here is that many of the people involved probably thought they were untouchable for years. Diddy was seen as one of the most successful and influential figures in music and business, someone who could open doors and make dreams come true, but now his empire is crumbling and anyone associated with him is being dragged down along with him. The fallout has been swift and brutal, and it's only getting worse by the day. Take Diddy's current situation, for example. He's been denied bail, meaning He's stuck behind bars until his trial. The media is buzzing with reports about the conditions he's facing, and apparently it's a far cry from the lavish lifestyle he's used to. He's reportedly being held in a facility known for its strict rules and minimal comforts. A shocking reality check for someone who's spent decades living in luxury. And then there are the charges, serious ones, so serious in fact that he's facing the possibility of life in prison if convicted. This isn't just a slap on the wrist or a hefty fine. This is the kind of legal trouble that could end his career for good.
Not only should he have apologized to Cassie in that video, he should have apologized to all the general public that he lied.
What's even more incredible is how fast Diddy's empire is unraveling. His partnerships with major companies are dissolving left and right. Just a few months ago he was the face of major brands like Revolt and Croc, but now those relationships are in tatters. Even Healy, reportedly working on a reality show with the Combs family, has pulled the plug. It seems like no one wants to be associated with Diddy anymore, and honestly, who can blame them? The allegations aren't just shocking, they're career-ending. Then there's the impact on Diddy's family. His sons, once seen as rising stars in their own right, are now caught up in the scandal. In particular, Christian King Combs, Diddy's son, is facing his own legal issues related to accusations that have surfaced in the wake of his father's arrest. Reports suggest that Christian may have been involved in questionable behavior at these infamous parties, leaving him with legal battles of his own. It's as if the entire Combs family is being pulled into a vortex of scandal with no clear way out. The speed of Diddy's downfall has been breathtaking. It wasn't long ago that he was riding high, celebrating his return to music with the Love album Off the Grid, but now that comeback has been completely overshadowed by the sheer weight of the allegations against him, and as more details emerge, the scandal only seems to get darker.
Some problems that the defense has brought up originally, but it seems like, just from reading this 14-page indictment, that there's enough physical evidence to perhaps get a conviction in this case. We shall see. These are out.
But hey Race, the thing, Diddy's fall from grace isn't just about one man's downfall, it's about the entire system that allowed this behavior to go unchecked for so long. For years Diddy cultivated an image of success, power and influence. He surrounded himself with celebrities, politicians and business leaders, many of whom seemed more than willing to turn a blind eye to what was really happening behind the scenes. Now, as the truth begins to surface, it's clear that Diddy wasn't operating in a vacuum. There were plenty of people who knew what was going on, and some may have even been complicit in keeping it all under wraps. So where does this leave Steve Harvey and the others now caught in the crossfire? If the rumors are true, Steve isn't the only one trying to keep a low profile as the investigation unfolds. Reports suggest that several other celebrities have quietly left the U.S. in recent weeks, all hoping to distance themselves from the growing scandal. While Steve's alleged decision to leave the country has drawn the most attention, whispers suggest he's not alone. Others have followed suit. It's like watching a game of musical chairs, with everyone scrambling to find a safe place before the music stops, but sooner or later someone's going to be left standing when the authorities come knocking.
And I hung the phone up. I went upstairs. I said, Margie, down. I said, Margie, we got a problem. When I explained it to her, Margie started crying.
The most intriguing aspect about all of this is how rapidly for years, Diddy and the celebrities in his orbit were idolized by the public as untouchable, larger-than-life figures who could do no wrong. However, with all of these accusations coming to light, people are beginning to wonder how much we actually know about these celebrities and how much of their public persona was deliberately constructed to conceal what was actually happening behind the scenes. The truth is that the boundaries between public and private life have always been blurred in Hollywood, but this scandal is bringing to light just how profound that deception can go.
If you gotta run to a private island because your evil doings is doing so much and they storming your house, it's one of these.
As we await further information, one thing is certain, this is only the beginning. The investigation into Diddy's actions is far from finished, and it's impossible to predict how many more names will be added to the scandal. However, for the time being, the focus is still on Steve Harvey and the other celebrities who are attempting to disassociate themselves from this sinking ship. Will they be the next to face severe legal repercussions? Please share your ideas in the comments section below, and don't forget to hit the like button. I'll see you in the future video, and please subscribe for additional updates.